Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're talking about MindsEye's big Update 5 and what it actually changes for you the moment you boot the game, plus how it feels in the hands once you're chasing scores, building stuff, and exploring what Arcadia is now supposed to be. I've spent time going through the notes, checking what's live on PS5, Xbox Series XS, and PC, and trying to translate all that into what matters if you're about to hit play. So if you've been wondering whether this patch is just another routine sweep of bug fixes, or if it meaningfully reshapes how you move through Reedrock and the side content, let's talk it through in plain language and with real examples. First impression, right from the title screen, you'll see a new launcher page. Think of it as a hub that respects your time. One lane is the main campaign, the other lane puts Arcadia missions front and center. It's not trying to hide the extra modes behind 3 menus anymore. If you've taken a break since launch and you're coming back now, this change alone makes it way easier to get oriented. Do you want story tonight? Or do you want fast hits of arcade-style challenges? The game finally asks that question up front and gets out of your way, and that's a welcome quality of life move. Now let's talk about the thing everyone's curious about, Arcadia. In earlier builds, you might remember play.MindsEye, and on PC there was also build MindsEye. That naming is gone. It's simply Arcadia for the play side and build Arcadia for the creation side on PC. That rename is more than a cosmetic tweak, because Arcadia now behaves like a streaming-style service inside the game. Translation, to hop into those bite-sized missions, you need to be online. But, and this is important, the core campaign and your side missions are still playable offline. So if your connection flakes out or you just want to chill solo night without the network, you can do that. I'm glad the team spelled that out clearly, because the last thing anyone wants is to boot a story chapter and find a connectivity gate. One of the banner additions for this patch is a seasonal mission with a Halloween vibe, going Haywire, downtown. It drops you onto Red Rock's strip with this frantic loop of weapon swapping, combo chaining, and score chasing, and the presentation leans into that chaotic night in the city energy. It's short form, but that's the point. You're meant to replay, route, and try to outperform your previous run. If you're the kind of player who enjoys shaving seconds off a route or figuring out which weapon order lets you keep the multiplier alive long enough to snag a leaderboard spot, this will scratch that itch. And if you're just here for a 10-minute blast after work, it works as a quick-hit palate cleanser between heavier campaign chapters. While we're on Arcadia, there's a bit more new content depending on which edition you own. For standard players, the update highlights 4 modes: going Haywire, downtown, 2 sky races with different themes, and a survival-style challenge branded around the Sihar systems. If you picked up the deluxe edition, there are 2 extra missions layered on top of that. The mood and difficulty across these are deliberately varied. One moment you're flowing through clean lines in the air, picking your risk level around corners and boost pads. The next, you're in that relentless survive as long as possible loop where route knowledge and composure make all the difference. It's not an expansion pack, but it's a tidy chunk of fresh goals for people who like to ping-pong between modes. Before we go further, a quick status update on free roam. If you're scanning your menus and wondering where that option went, it's on a short break, as the team puts it, with plans to return later. The reasons aren't spelled out in microscopic detail, but the gist is it's temporarily out of rotation while they do what they need to do behind the scenes. If that's your usual sandbox chill space, I get that it's disappointing to see it paused, but at least we have an explicit note that it's not gone forever, and we can judge the comeback when it lands. Let's break down what this means for different types of players, because not everyone approaches MindsEye the same way. If you're here for the narrative and you've been picking at chapters after work, the new launcher page is the invisible hero of this patch. You boot, you push into the next story beat with fewer clicks, and you're not being tempted by 10 modes throwing notifications at you. That sounds tiny, but momentum matters in a story-heavy game. 1 or 2 extra friction points at the start of a session can be the difference between, not tonight, and I'll play a chapter. This update is making that decision easier. If you're a completionist who loves checking boxes, Arcadia's structure now makes it really simple to chase a variety of goals in a single session. Grab a score in the seasonal mode, take a couple of runs at a sky race to find the cleanest line, then swap back to campaign for a boss or a set piece. The flow between those spaces is smoother. On the competitive end, leaderboards and score modes like going Haywire downtown are going to live or die by readability and fairness. From what I've seen, the mission's clarity about scoring rules is better than some earlier efforts. You know what feeds your combo, you understand how the weapon rotation affects your decisions, and you learn pretty quickly how greed can collapse your run. If you're making content or streaming, this is a perfect segment to show a learn the route arc. Start sloppy, talk through mistakes, show incremental improvements, and then finally post that one clean run with a combo that makes chat go, okay, now we're cooking. If you're editing a video, The mission's compact length makes it easy to present 2 or 3 full attempts without dragging the pacing. Now let's talk practicalities, platforms, and how to actually get at this stuff if you're watching and switching your console on right now. On PS5 and Xbox, once you've updated, the launcher page presents the campaign tile and an Arcadia tile as co-equals. You don't need to hunt for the new mission, it surfaces near the top. If you don't see the seasonal card, force a refresh by backing out to the main hub and re-entering Arcadia, or check the featured row inside Arcadia because the seasonal mission is highlighted there. On PC, the logic's the same, and if you're a creator type, Build Arcadia tools are a separate entry point that is alongside the playable missions. Whether you're on console or PC, remember Arcadia needs an online connection. If your internet is spotty, consider doing your Arcadia stuff first while your connection is happiest, then swapping to offline story play later in the session. This naturally raises the question, why move Arcadia into an online service model in the first place? The optimistic read is cadence. If Arcadia is treated like a living channel, the studio can ship small, frequent injections of content without forcing a bigger patch to the main executable, and they can run seasonal beats without cluttering your local install forever. The skeptical read is that anytime you require a connection, you risk stranding players who just want to blast through a few challenges while the router is having a moment. For now, the balance seems okay because the campaign and side missions stay playable offline. If the studio can keep the Arcadia pipeline moving with steady highlights, like the Halloween mission now, winter-flavored content next, spring races after that, then the always online for this slice argument starts to make more sense. Performance-wise, this patch doesn't present itself as a huge engine overhaul, but there are bug fixes and tweaks folded in. On PC in particular, players had flagged spots where explosions tanked frames, and a drop could happen in the Penthouse Gamble mission. The patch notes call out stability improvements and targeted fixes, and while your mileage will always vary with your rig, fewer spikes during effects-heavy moments is the kind of improvement you actually feel in moment-to-moment play. If the team is still marching toward broader AI and combat tuning that they previously teased for a future patch, today's changes are the groundwork. Make the frame time graph less spiky, clear out the weird mission-specific issues, then you can layer smarter enemies or more ambitious encounter scripting without everything buckling. That's the right sequence, and it's good to see it continuing. Let's get into tips, because patch talk is fun, but what you really want is to boot the new mode and perform better than you did 5 minutes ago. In Going Haywire Downtown, think in terms of route segments linked by safe combo bridges. The enemy clusters and pickups create rhythm points where you can bank a chunk of score. Don't sprint blindly from one to the next. Build a mental picture of where your multiplier is most vulnerable and bake in a tiny safety buffer. If you're forced to weapon swap, use the first seconds after the swap for spacing rather than greed. Those are the moments where most players hemorrhage their multiplier, and losing a big chain will cost you more than skipping one medium-risk target. Early on, record a run and watch it back at double speed. Look for wasted lateral movement. You'll be shocked how often you drift 2 steps the wrong way, then overcorrect again.